Hello.
Hello.
Great. Okay, so we got both Mr. Underground and Nuke connected here. I'm just gonna message Platfleece. Uh, we were trying to connect and I was having trouble. Okay, so what are your first impressions of the elections? What are your reactions to being elected, and how close of a race that was? Because that was really a really close race. You guys were both. I think Nuke, you had the lead through most of the race or most of the voting, vote counting, and Mr. Underground, you overtook him right at the last second to take command of the capital. We should say. So, what are your reactions?
That was close, man. I was like I was sweating. I knew I had lost when we saw the when I saw the seven. But
It looks like Underground can't talk. Is that the case? Because he's typing.
am I being heard?
You're
No,
being heard, yeah.
Nook's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, I got it.
Oh, yay.
Okay, so we just heard from Nuke. Mr. Underground, what did you think of the first of that election and how close it was?
And I wasn't really expecting it to be this close.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I had quite a lot of support from a bunch of people that how do I say it? That were really interested in on how policies and how we should govern this.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely an interesting race, and there was a lot of discussion on the Reddit, and I think having that post on Civ r/Civ last week, it really kind of brought a lot of people to the Reddit right as we were getting ready to run this, and I think that that kind of influenced that election. I think a lot.
Can you please say that again? I think I fixed it.
Oh, okay.
Responsive. Influencing the election.
Yeah, basically, I was saying the posts on our Civ, it sort of brought a lot of people onto the Reddit and onto this project, and it influenced this whole election a lot. I found. So, what are your thoughts on that?
That post on our Civ caused a lot of people who got into this Democraciv subreddit to get really into it and join it. I was one of those people that weren't that much interested. I really believe that post actually helped bring extra people that were very helpful to this. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys were either of you endorsed by some political parties? Do you think you got any political support from the political process or the political parties that have been forming?
I was endorsed by the PCLU, but I'm currently interim president of the Liberal Party because we haven't really been able to run primaries yet. So
Okay.
I think that influenced it, but I don't think it was the deciding factor. They're not developed enough yet.
Yeah. Do you plan on taking? Well, you were saying you're the president of the Liberal Party, so I'm assuming you're going to kind of keep your candidacy representative of the Liberal Party. Would that be a fair assumption?
You're breaking up a little bit here.
Yeah, I think they're both.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear any of that.
No, yeah, Somnia, you should restate it because you broke a little bit.
Okay. So because you're the president of the Liberal Party, Nuke, is that going to be? Are you going to be representing them moving forward as a candidate for your future elections, your future political career?
Well, in the future we'll be holding like primaries to decide to endorse candidates and such. But as for my membership influencing the running of the city, it won't that much. Because there's only about 6 of us that are actually official members, and generally we agree on or anything. That's not what I'm doing. It's not going to affect it that much, really.
Okay. Platfleece, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, let's start by at least can we refresh everyone on your stances just for anyone who's still watching? That should be a good start.
Like, my thoughts on how I plan on running?
Yeah. It's just a refresh for everyone that's still watching.
Sure. For how I plan on running as mayorship of the capital, I want to maintain a direct, balanced infrastructure in the capital by being ahead as much as possible in about every aspect while taking into account the empirical status of the empire.
Wait, is it me or is it Nook? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I can hear you now.
Okay, that's good. What about you, Nook? Your stances.
Well, obviously it's going to be a bit different when working with the second city. But I tend to focus more on production, because it leads to him. It's going to thing. So I want to find the right balance, because but a lot of people, they tend to have a city where there's, say, just a lot of food and not a lot of production, and they end up with these high population cities that don't have any actual basis in being able to build units or buildings or wonders or any of those important. And that good balance between a good population city and high hammers to get, being able to have productive cities to advance us toward victory. We are on Immortal, so we need all of it.
All right, and let's talk about what was I actually going to say? Oh yeah, the current state of the game and what your plans are with the information we have right now. Like we just discovered Jerusalem, for example. What are your stances on that? I think that there's also a debate going on in the subreddit about whether we should steal Jerusalem's workers and everything like that. What are your plans going forward, if you don't mind sharing?
I say steal the worker. Like people will say, like it's morally wrong, but it's a game of Civ 5. It's not real life. We're on Immortal. We need every advantage we can get, and having that worker will be immensely helpful.
Hey, I made the point that Jerusalem's actually a hostile city-state, so all's fair in love and war, right?
Yeah,
Well,
true enough. But what about the I don't think it'll actually cause that much aggression, but
it doesn't really. It just affects how fast the influence degrades.
right.
So if we have plenty of gold, then it won't really be a problem if we end up allying them.
And I don't think there's any more information from the game. Actually, wait, there might be, since I believe it's a religious city, right? So we're gonna get a boost of impact of faith. Do you have any opinions on what pantheon we should use for our when we get our first pantheon choice?
For me, I say God King all the way, because we don't really have a lot of one resource except Tundra, and I've already listed out reasons why Dance of the Aurora is a bad idea, mostly because to work that, we have to work lone Tundra tiles, and then maybe hills. That's like 3 hills, so 3 faith. And then if we want to get any more extra from the Pantheon, then we have to work really crappy tiles, which would harm our city more. I think God King is an all-around, it's a good starter one. It's not going to provide any benefits in the long run, but it'll help us in the short term, help us get our workers, settlers, scouts out faster, and just give us a big advantage.
Underground, do you have any inputs?
When it comes to a pantheon, I really have been a hard time thinking about it, but I have to agree with him about choosing God King because I believe we really need that boost for a very early game due to us having those few tundra tiles in our borders.
Okay, now I think this question can only apply to Nook because of the fact that it's going to be applied to Second City. We haven't actually found our Second City, right? Correct. And do you have, based on the map we see right now, do you have any I don't know, some opportunity?
Well, so from what I can tell from the map, the spot I was thinking about earlier was there is a nice hill with some deer on it. No, not deer. I'm not sure if that's a map. I can't tell on strategic view, but there are some firs south of Jerusalem, and that would probably be the best place to settle at the moment that I can see, because there's no resources off to the southeast, and we haven't explored north. But we really, before we can make that decision, we need to have more information. We have our scout explore more.
You're really, Nuke, you're really going to be watching exploration and kind of figuring out where your city location's going to be much more than I think most people in that most citizens. You're going to have much more of a need to want to have a good location, I think, just so that you have a good city that you can run. Is that sort of something that's kind of in the back of your mind at the moment?
Well, yeah. I mean, I always hope to get to find a good place to settle. And there, to be honest, our start is kind of crappy.
Yeah.
So I think hills would be useful. I think we should settle down south though, where it's warmer, more grassland, and less tundra. Definitely. So I think we should explore south of the Wine, and go from there.
That said, an early pantheon like this can be quite powerful. And we did pick up mining early, so we do have a few things going for us. And even the salt is a relatively decent, even though it's a tundra. Like, I know I've had games where I've had salt on a tundra tile, and it still provides quite a bit of production, quite a bit of food, even for a tundra tile. So it's not the greatest start, but I don't think it's the worst one either. It's definitely not the worst one I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. Although I think they made a mistake in moving to the cows, because we moved away from a deer and a furs that we could have had otherwise, and there's not really a settlable spot over there, so we're not going to be able to get the access to those resources. But I think that south of Roulier, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, there should be greener pastures, so to speak.
Yeah, definitely. And even picking up the wine. I mean, I love a good glass of wine. That's definitely having a city in range of that wine is something I think we should do for at the very least for the winos in the audience. Let's see, what other questions can we ask? What do you guys think of the strategic view, and how we're placed kind of up against a mountain range to our east? And there is our warriors currently sitting in the middle of that mountain pass. Do you think we should try to claim that with a city at some point? Try to protect our flank there, set up some good defensible borders, maybe kind of on the inside edge of that mountain, kind of beside that single mountain we see in the strategic view right now. Do you think that might be a decent city location depending on what's around there?
So far, we have no idea of what could be near those mountains or on the other side of that small mountain range. There might be a lot more land that are like green. There could be plenty of or there could be another coast, like somewhere nearby. We don't know, but since we have the scout near Jerusalem, that scout could come down, then come to the right, and with the warrior we have near those mountains, we can use it to scout in hopes of finding if there is another civ, or if there's more fertile land.
Would you actually prefer, if there was fertile land, that we expand eastwards across the mountains?
If there really is very good fertile land to the right of those mountains, plus a few luxuries, hopefully, then that might as well become a very good spot with the observatory that we could use for an extra science.
Yeah, no, my opinion on down there, I think it's probably important to get that, because we're probably gonna have to go to war at some point, but it's important to have to go to, the mountain south, as far you can see on the strategic view, the farthest south mountain, there's a hill just to the right of it, and I think that looks like a good place to settle. As of course I can't see below that to actually look at any and see if there are any luxuries or resources. There's some stone on a mountain, on a hill next to it, that would provide like 4 or 5 production with stoneworks and improved, and that would be really good. And there's grassland, which is a good sign. It could be a river, deer, whatever. But I would take a city with good resources, fertile land, and luxuries over a defensive city with crappy stats.
Do you guys have any ideas of what we should call the mountain range? I know there was a post on the Reddit about that earlier today.
Oh yeah, there's a guy that's making the official in-universe history of Poland. So, do you have any suggested names for the mountain range?
I just learned about that right now. I have no idea, but I'm probably gonna think about it.
The underground mountain range, then.
Well, no, I like the idea of suggesting a bunch of names and then just having like a straw poll of it. I do like, as Kovar suggested, the powdered mountains of curry to symbolize the corruption of the government.
Oh dear God, yes, we have made a couple of things. I personally think, because I'm currently one of the first few members. I mean, there was Villy, but I think he left. So I really would like to reorganize how the communication structure works, and that segues into my actual next question, which is great. So, how do you think you want to communicate with the ministry, since they are still going to be in a way above in the chain of command?
Oh, as a mayor?
Yes, as a mayor.
Early game, I believe we'll just have to do small talk between the ministry and the individual mayors on terms like next to policies on that, give their advice or ideas. But very late game, or when we eventually have more and more cities, like a very medium to large amount, we're probably gonna have to. I believe we probably have to set up an extra cabinet in our government to equalize the power we have.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that first point, like early game. I think just open talk between the ministers and the mayors, that would serve to eke out any problems or suggestions they have. As a mayor, I am going to work with the ministry closely, because we are one nation, and the ministry is like the federal branch, and we need to stay true to the federal part of it, because that's the part that wins. But late game, I think, yeah, something like the judicial branch that's been proposed is going to be necessary to work out problems and help decide on social policies and stuff, that kind of thing.